my ex-stepmother-in-law has a fundamental dislike of. It's when people go to Germany. The first time I went to Germany, it was about a year before I met her, with a group of young Israeli boys and girls just right after high school. It was one of the first trips of Israelis going to Germany to meet young people in Germany. And of course, for all of us, it was the first time we went abroad ever. So they took a teacher to teach us how to behave. And they even gave us a test in an Arabic restaurant over hummus and pita to see that we have good manners. And a friend of mine, Varda, and myself, we were always, very active in the Scouts, doing all kinds of festivals in the Scouts. So we said, it would be a good idea that we prepare something for the end of our trip in Germany, maybe a song. And we thought, if we are going to Germany, it would be a good idea that we prepare a song in Yiddish, the Jewish language, very similar to German. So my mother helped us find a song, and we made kind of choreography, and I took the guitar with me. And when we came to Germany, we went to Munich, and we met very nice young people, and we even, they hosted us in their houses. Each of us had a host or a hostess. I remember the name of my hostess, first because she was very, very nice, and then because it's impossible to forget this name. Her name was Katharina Haselhuber, and I still remember her and her name. And I even slept in her home under a photograph of the grandfather with complete uniform. At the time, I was not very acquainted with this uniform. And anyhow, and we went with them to, to Dachau near Munich, a concentration camp, and I prepared the ceremony because I always loved ceremonies, but somehow, I don't know why, we were sure that we would start crying the moment we come there, but no tears. I don't know why, maybe because there were nice old gardeners putting flowers, planting flowers, or because there was no evidence at all, not even a barak, nothing, just signs on the floor, or because at that time there was still an American military camp just near the concentration camp, the ex-concentration, and so it was kind of, anyhow. At the end of this visit, which was very good and very warm and very nice, and we all made friends, Varda, my friend, and myself with the guitar, we had our song, and it was something like, I think you would understand without translation. I'm not good in Yiddish too. My mother taught me a little bit, so it went something like that. Ingale, sing a schöne little Zidi Mädele, ho 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 Mädele, her a schöne little für die Ingale, ja ba 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 ba, du bist meine Schumale, mein kleine, mein Chumale, mein schöne, mein kleine Mädele, and all the children and the parents, they clapped. It's a song that tells about the love of a boy and a girl in Yiddish. And it took some years until I visited again Germany, this time for some kind of a family project or something like that. And I had to take a night train from Frankfurt to London. We had this cabin, with chairs, 3 chairs in a night cabin. To my left there was an Italian waiter with English of Italian waiters, and to my right there was a German businessman who that very day came from his business in Tel Aviv. So we talked a little bit, and at midnight all the lights went out and all the chairs, the 3 chairs, became, like sofas, and I found myself in a kind of a ménage à trois. To my left, an Italian waiter, to my right, a German businessman. And the waiter fell asleep very soon, and the businessman and me, we just starting whispering to each other. You know, we didn't want to wake the child. And we whispered, and about 3 or 4, I think, well, there are some people from Frankfurt who are here, so you will know Aachen from Frankfurt. It's about 3 hours or 4 hours by train, am I right? Something
Yes,
like that?
3.
3. So at about 3 o'clock in the morning, the train stopped at his station in Aachen, and he, you know, he stood up and he arranged his tie and trousers and shoes, very kind of intimate moment. And just a second before he left the train, he whispered to me, "I do not understand why is it that I have to go a whole night by train with a young, beautiful woman, and instead of talking about love, we have to talk about the Holocaust!" This evening we are going to spend with 5 guests from the audience at this table. So this is the time to look at the decor, at the lights, at your partner, to see if the phone is off, anything just not to create eye contact with me. And if this did not help, then I will be very grateful if one of you would come and join me at the table. I can only tell you that I hate audience participation, so don't be afraid. Don't push. Please. So the procedure is very simple. You just push the roulette, and wherever it stops, you sit.
Clockwise?
No, clockwise. Wow. So please, you can take a seat. It's not my ideas. It's all Naomi the crazy. So you can open here the drawer, if it's okay, and you may take out whatever is inside. Yes. And if you can you do something and listen at the same time?
Surprisingly enough, I can.
You can. This is very good, because I want to tell you, we are not going to sit here, you know, just looking at each other, although you are very beautiful and handsome. But do you know what this is? You can open, you can see, if you like it, you can do something with it. And I'm going to tell you, and you can also use this, now you know. Okay, so I will tell you, I really wanted to tell you a few things about my childhood, because I have memories from the age of 2. This is certain. Do you have childhood memories so early?
Not so early.
So what age do you have child?
I think mine started 3 years old.
At 3. And
Yeah.
what is this memory of 3-year-old?
It's actually a very Israeli memory.
Israeli memory.
Yeah.
Why not? We are in Israel after
It
all.
was the Gulf War, and we had to go
The
to...
Gulf War.
Yeah.
And always, yes, that is very Israeli, always memories about wars. But there's always a war somewhere. So, and what was the memory?
We had to go to the secure room
Yes?
and since I have asthma, I had a special mask.
Ah.
It was called a bardas, a hood in free translation. But my parents called it bardelas, which is cheetah.
Cheetah.
So I would wear it
And
instead
become
of-
a cheetah.
I guess. And it was like a big bubble.
Wow.
Instead of wearing it, I just said, I have no head, I have no head.
Wow. And you know, after all, it was very idiotic, all these things, because it would not save us of anything. Maybe of the cheetah, if a cheetah comes. No, mine is much simpler. My first memory is about shape. I remember that I held in my hand a bowl, a silver bowl, and I was very amazed that the shape of the bowl was like the shape of my hand. This is first memory from the age of 2, and it's certain because at that time they bought all the silverware for the new house, and they built the new house because we didn't have enough space for 5 children. And because they built the new house, and they were, you know, I don't know if you know, historically when they built houses, they had these lime pits. They put lime to build their houses, and also sand. Very, very thin sand, and they brought the sand from the river Tisa. And it took a whole day to bring the sand. The wagon would go early in the morning and come back in the evening full of sand. And some farmer, what are you doing?
I'm not sure.
But it started something very interesting. But go on and do and listen, and we shall see. Art is art. And anyhow, this farmer, it was 1926, something like that. I was 5, and my brother, Gabi, was a year and a month younger. And we asked the farmer if he would take us with him. And he said, why not? And he took us, both little children, put us on the wagon, and hop, he disappeared. So imagine the panic. You know, all the police came. And they searched for us in all the roads, and only in the evening, when it was already dark, they saw the wagon coming, and Gabi and I, happy, suntanned on the wagon with the farmer. And I still remember that my mother said, and you were not hungry? And I said, but no, uncle gave us fantastic bread. And I must tell you that until then, and also after that, I never touched this black bread because I was a princess. I ate only brioche. But I still remember the color. It was like dark as this floor. And this girl, you know, who they took a girl of 15, 16-year-old girl to keep an eye on us, but she was really useless. Anyhow, they asked her to clean beans, you know, and she cleaned the beans, and Gabi and I, we played with the beans, and some pieces of the bean, they fell into the sand. But it was a sand from the river, so it was, and it was also wet. So in a few days, all the beans, you know, sprouted. And it was something fantastic, the experience of my life. And I must tell you that at that time, I really thought I would become a farmer, 100%, because it was so interesting to have this bean growing up. This is interesting. It's a deer or like horns or something like that? Or I'm completely mistaken?
I think it's more of bugs' antennas.
Uh-huh. You have any connection to this kind of, because you work so like professional?
I used to do sculpting when I was young.
After the cheetah. Second career. Not in the jungle. Very nice. Very, 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 very nice. And you know, then we had this new house, and in this new house, you know, Gabi and I played. We were like twins, only a year and a month, and we were like twins. We even went together to the same kindergarten. I remember one day, Gabi started to cry. I want to go home. So I said, Gabika, why do you cry? So I started with him, you know, a team. And the kindergarten teacher even let us go home. I still remember the children shouting after us, crying machines, and to this day I don't know, and Gabi didn't know why we were crying. So imagine that this is the same Gabi that was waiting for me in the train station in Budapest, and I never came. I sent him a telegram, but I never came. You know, I had a bigger brother, Ferry. He was 9 years older than me. I remember in the new house, you know, there was, I don't know if you know in your Israeli experience, this is a European experience. There was a very big stove fireplace. It took about half of the living room, this fireplace, and there was a sofa, and I was lying on the sofa, perhaps because it was cold, or perhaps because I was ill. I was always ill, but as you see, this is an omen for long life. and Ferry, my bigger brother, he was maybe 14, and he was standing by the fireplace, and he learned by heart the names of the Egyptian pharaohs. And he said, what do you want to be? Kafa, Kafara, or Kafra? I said, Kafa. And to his dying day, for him, I was Kafa. For example, if he wanted something nice, he would say, Kafa, make for me a nice palacinta. You know, in this new house, we had this attic over the whole house. You know, we call it in Israel boydem, but it is all over the house, the attic. And there, among other things, there were bags with feathers to make the pillows, yes? And of course, I went up, the girl was useless, and I again disappeared. And again the panic, and again they looked everywhere. And then suddenly my mother said, hey, look! And there, at the entrance of the attic, I was standing. All the feathers went into my hair. And I probably look like a marquise with white, or the city crier with white hair. And my mother said, oh, this is so nice. Come down slowly, because there were very steep steps. Come down slowly, slowly, slowly. And when I reached the bottom, she gave me 2 slaps in my own bottom. And I was amazed, because until then I was only full of love. You know, our family, we had vineyard. Do you know vineyard? Yes, we had lots of grapes. We had almost 100 workers there to pick up the grapes. And there we had a house, a simple house, wood house, with shutters of wood and shape of heart. The shutters were blue, and there was this shape of heart, and there was no water. We had to bring the water from the spring, the big children with buckets, big buckets, and the small children with small buckets. And I remember one evening, the boys, they put, you know, they made, like we say in Israel, on the fire, you know. Barbecue, kind of barbecue, yes, but with corn. Did you ever taste corn? Not like they serve it here in hot boiling water, but on the fire. You did.
I did.
That's good for cheetahs. Not like they do it here, the Polish style. So anyhow, they did something wonderful on the fire, and suddenly my mother saw me coming from the kitchen with a bucket of water bigger than myself, and I was very thin. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I bring this water in case there will be fire." And my mother said, "Yoy, yoy, poor girl. She will always be like that." And this is right, that I am like that, that I always have to think what will be later. For example, if I have, let's say, a wool hat that a little bit gives me warmth, then I take it off because at night it would be even colder. And that's my terrible character, that I always think it will get worse, and I am right. And you know, there in the vineyards, we had, do you know this? The green ones? Grasshoppers. Many of them. And Gabi and I, we collected the grasshoppers and we put them in matchboxes because we wanted to teach them to live like people, like human beings. And I made for them a teapot. And I made for them another pot, and I was so happy, and I thought, wow, it is such fun to make clay pots for the grasshopper, and it was the first time that I thought, maybe it would be better that I do not become a ballet dancer, but I will make pots for grasshoppers. And you know, I remember the exact moment when my childhood ended. Do you remember?
The exact moment.
Or the exact hour, the exact day? I give you a week, even a month. But do you remember how your childhood ended? Shall I tell you? Because I know the second. Well, we decided to make pots for the grasshoppers because we wanted to teach them how to cook. And I told Gabi, my brother, that I would make from clay the spoon for the grasshoppers. And I started making the spoon, and suddenly Gabi and I looked at each other and we burst laughing. And at this moment, our childhood ended. We just woke up from our childhood and we let all the grasshoppers walk away. Until that moment, I swear to you, hop away. I swear to you that until that moment, we were sure that they will learn how to cook. You know, this is, and you say it is not a deer or something, or maybe it has become, I don't know.
I think it has become a fish.
A fish of salt. It's beautiful. Would you give it to me?
Of course.
So I will give you a compensation like this maybe, so you can clean. It's very beautiful. I thank you very. I would even clap my hands. He's very human. Very. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to host you. You know, I'm very selective. Real pleasure. He left some things, but never mind. Art is art. You don't mind if I just put the fish? I will take care of him later. You know, I always in my long career wanted to do what's called in Israel, I don't know about other countries, stand-up comedy. I think that stand-up comedy is fantastic. But then Danielle, the girl who works with me, she said that someone told her that stand-upist artist has to be more intelligent than the audience. So I hesitated, but then Danielle looked into it and she said, no, it doesn't have to be very intelligent. The idea is that you ask a question, and if someone laughs, then you keep your mouth open and it encourages more laughing. So she said, I said, what should I ask? She said, ask, for example, I don't know, like they ask in stand-up comedy, is there anyone here from Haifa? Let's say. She didn't say what I'm going to do if nobody laughs. or she said, choose another question, like, have you ever visited your ex-stepmother-in-law? No laughing. Well, anyhow, I'll tell you, ex-stepmother-in-law, you understand this is scientific, right? I'll try to explain it. You know, there are many ways to explain things. I don't know if you saw our Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu trying to explain about the Iranian bomb. It was very, very visual. So I'll try to imitate his perfect technique. Well, the idea is like this. The moment she became my ex-stepmother-in-law, I became my ex-stepdaughter-in-law. Now it's clear, right? And when I first met her, they lived in Haifa. It's a very beautiful city, no puppet festival, but beautiful anyhow. And they lived on the hilltop, on the Carmel top. And Danny was at that time my boyfriend. He said, we are going to visit my father, who is a professor of cartography, and my stepmother, who is an artist. And we have to be on time. And we came right on time, and when we entered, the house shocked me because it was so white. We were sitting on round white chairs around a round white table, and from the small but white refrigerator, we ate white blintzers, and even the conversation, one can say, was white. Very intellectual. At the time, I didn't even know the word. And I am born in Jerusalem. I was born in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, we like, you know, Arabic embroidery and Armenian tiles, and we like colors, and hot, warm colors. And I thought, what could I do? What could I do that maybe I would stand on the chair like I did at my parents and sing a song or in Yiddish. But anyhow, when we came out, I said, Danny told me, he said, they really liked you. I said, what do you mean? Why do you think they liked me? He said, didn't you notice that my father helped you with the coat? I said, yes. I did notice. Is that a sign? He said, yes. With the German-born people, it's a sign that they like you. And I said, and she is so nice. She, I must say that my ex-father-in-law, not step, but ex-father-in-law, he was from Germany, from Bayreuth, the Zentrum, and he was such a yeke, what we call here in Israel a yeke, people who came from Germany, that whenever I said, for example, that I'm going to München, he really got furious. So he was talking about, I don't know, science, and she was talking and said, there are such lovely people, and she has such wonderful stories. She's a great storyteller, but one thing was very bizarre. She always calls him Meshuga, and Meshuga in Hebrew is crazy. So why does she call him Meshuga? Like she says, Meshuga, would you like to have more blinches? Meshuga, would you like, I don't know, and Danny said, no, it's not Meshuga. She's not calling him crazy. It's a Hungarian nickname, probably Mishuka or something like that. And then after we got married and I told them this story, she said, Mishuka. Mishuka is a short for Misha. I said, but his name is Pinchas. And she said, Misha. About this, I cannot talk. Don't make sudden movements, because then I interpreted that you want to come to the table. But I would really be happy if one of you would come please. Yes. So you know the procedure. You just turn the chukchik, and wherever it stops, you sit. Whatever direction. It's almost here. Would you like to just give fate a little twist, right or left? You know, sometimes it's fatal. But you can sit. Please, have a seat and you may open. You're welcome, you're most welcome. Have a seat and open. This is, I tell again, not my ideas, but it's Naomi's. But you can open this and see if you like it. Just, yes. Do you like it? You do? You can.
I'm your guest.
You are, be my guest, so you can take the things out. You can just take the things out, and if you want, I can also make some space here, and if you want, you are from the, yes, from the profession, you can take all these things, and if you want, you can make a decoration here, and just to, can I read you a letter? Yes, please.
Persze a fő téma az Ági új családjáról szóló megismerkedés lesz. Azt Rózsi már megírta, hogy az Ági anyósa a múlt héten 4 napig itt volt.
Can you do something and listen?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. So I will read you a letter that my mother wrote to her 3 sisters about my wedding with my first husband. And because she was very busy, she wrote with this letter with copy, you know, but not copy-paste like in the computer, but this, you know, this paper. Yes, you can go on doing whatever, just, yeah, whatever you like. So can I read it to you? Oh, can I sit down? Thank you. January 1941. My dear sisters, I intend to write a long letter, but since it is before the 1st of the month, and I don't have much time left, so, unlike myself, I'm writing you with copies. The main topic will be, of course, the meeting with Agi's future family. Agi's future mother-in-law came to visit us in the city so that she could invite us to visit them in their estate in the village for Christmas. I told her that my husband had not wanted to come to visit them because her husband didn't visit us first. Tell me, she asked, for the happiness of your children, is it the first time that you are doing something unpleasant? With that, everything was settled, and we didn't speak about it further. Etelke, you asked what I cooked for her. So only now I see I didn't prepare my best dishes. The meal was very simple, and Agi even asked that I do not make a special demonstration of my culinary ability. I prepared mushroom soup, 2 types of meat, potatoes, vegetables, compote, and chestnut roll. I did everything very simply. After all this, how can I begin to tell you how it was at their place? In terms of hospitality, even if I tried, I couldn't give them less than 100 plus for their behavior. They all came through the garden to welcome us, including the father. He was very nice, and the second son with his wife, who arrived on the same train as we had, were also very nice. I was afraid that I wouldn't like Latsi's sister because she married this non-Jewish notary, and she is not Jewish anymore. But she was so sweet that she captured my heart. The other man, her husband, did not speak at all. They waited for us with the afternoon tea, a huge table, set super beautiful, almost collapsing with abundance, chestnuts in whipped cream, 3 cakes, one filled with cheese, another with poppy seed, another with nuts, cakes from butter and toast. That was afternoon tea. For dinner, many, many types of extraordinary, delicious meat with all kinds of gravies and side dishes. There was even cabbage and polenta. For dessert, a huge crystal bowl of compote and all sorts of desserts and fruits, and what plenty, I cannot even begin to describe it. But the magnificent dishes, they are truly impossible to describe. There was a silver table service for 24 people, which included things that I didn't have a clue what they were and for what they served and on what tree they grew. Among the dishes that I did recognize was 4 silver salt shakers, a huge silver tray, silver coffee service for 20 people, 4 big silver trays with legs for cakes, a silver candelabra with 4 heavy branches, for fruit, of course, a separate silver service, and so on. We had all the reasons in the world to be happy, and God knows why the 2 of us were sad. Of course, we kept it to ourselves, but Agi all the time interrogated us. We couldn't tell her why. Maybe the fact that they behave so un-Jewishly contributed. Maybe because it's in the village. I don't know why, and I don't want to go into it, but Yoy, such a beautiful, blissful girl would be buried in a village where she has no one who knows her, who knows all her talents, and how beautiful she was, and how everybody loved her. Well, I could tell you a lot more, but I cut my finger. And it hurts, especially when I am writing. I think that what disturbed Eden the most, her husband, is that they are so un-Jewish in their behavior. All those feelings, it's actually not clear to me where they come from. I don't want to dig into it. I hope that these are all false feelings and that everything will be all right. Agi's future mother-in-law told her, Latzi will certainly be happy with you even without money, more than with a girl with a lot of money. There were 6 horses, 6 cows, and pigs in the stable. I think that they still sell the other animals after they are born. Etelka, you ask what we are giving Agi. The answer is many things with much difficulty. The furniture in the living room will be like that. A very large credence with vitrine. The piano, a round table, and 2 fauteuils. Slowly, slowly, it will all work out. We will have many problems, but in the end, it has to work out. My dearests, my hands are already very sore. I won't write anymore. Lenka, my mother. Nice, right? Like a letter of Maria Teresa or something like that. You know, we got married on the 30th of November, 1941. I was not sure before if 41 or 42, but now I'm sure 41. And the wedding was at our home, very intimate and small. This is how my mother wanted. Even to the rabbi, she said only 1 hour before the wedding. But my mother cooked for all the workers of my father, and she cooked what was possible at that time and what was impossible. And everybody ate and drank and toasted and starved. One worker, very intelligent, deaf. said he wanted to toast too. And because he was sitting at the atelier near the window, he saw me all my childhood because I was always in the garden. And he stood up and he said, I want to say one thing, that Agi never walked, she always danced. And it's true that I always danced. You know, I remember that when I was 16, I went to Prague, and there my brother Ferry was a young surgeon in the Czechoslovakia army, and he took me to dance in a very fashionable place, and then we heard the song by Mir Bistushen for the first time, and I was bombarded. And since then, everything for me was in dancing. My brother Ferry, he was so handsome, but he didn't want to dance, and I danced with all his friends. And in our home, I remember that our neighbor opened the radio full volume, and he said, open the windows, because our parents opened windows between the two houses so that we could dance in the garden. And then, among the most terrible news from Germany, we danced the foxtrot. Oh, do you dance? So you are not only the city crier, you are the city dancer. You are a dancer. I never danced with you. You're not a dancer.
No, I'm not a dancer. But
you
my
dan-
grandmother, she taught me to dance with the same music.
Really? How comes? Forget that there is a show. I want to. Really? With this music?
This music? Yeah.
Wow. Well, I just wanted, I don't know if I should tell you, but I will tell you anyhow. 3 months after the wedding, they took my young husband, Latsi, to work camps, a kind of concentration camps for working near Kiev. And from this place, only 4% of the Jewish boys returned, and he returned 2 years later. And we had some time to be in our estate, about 6 months maybe, and in April 1944, in Passover, a man came from our town. His name was Kopcha. He was one of my father's very best workers, and he came with a letter from my mother and document papers, you know, that my mother made for us, forged papers that she made for a fortune. And in the letter, my mother wrote that they are in the ghetto in our town in Berexas. And she also wrote that they took 50 hostages and they had to pay an enormous amount of money, otherwise they would kill the hostages, and they paid. So, when we got this letter, and we got the papers from my mother, we decided, Latsi and I, and the family, that we, the two of us, will run away to my brother Gabi in Budapest. So we burned all our papers, and we sent him a telegram that we come to Budapest, and decided that we will go to a train station, and from there we will go to Latsi's brother, who lived about 30 kilometers from the estate, from the property, and from there, with our new papers, we will go to Budapest. And Latsi, my young husband, he was a navigator. He could find his way everywhere. So we ran the whole night and we lost our way. And we came back almost back to the estate. And again, we ran to another station, and at last, we came to his brother, and we just fell asleep. And we woke up with knocks on the door. A man came from the estate, from our property, with a letter from Laci's mother or Laci's sister, saying that we must come back because they took 50 hostages, and if we don't come back, they will kill them all. So we waited until it was dark, and we ran 30 kilometers back home. And when we arrived in the morning, we found out that this was a lie. They just didn't want to go to the ghetto alone. So with this lie, we came back. So we took a little nap, and at about noontime, we all went to the ghetto. So I must say that the time we spent with these wonderful papers that my mother made for a fortune was about a day and a half, and even this day and a half wasn't very nice. You know, sometimes you tell stories that make you tired. For me, so I part with you now, but it was a pleasure to talk to you. So give me a hug again. It was nice hugging with you. You can leave this. No, you can leave this. You are? Can I help you?
Thank you.
Thank you. I would clap my hands for you. You know, my ex-stepmother and myself, we talk every morning at about between 8:30 and 8:31. If I'm late by 1 minute, she says, I didn't know what to think. And then we start talking about the day's news, and she said, you don't read newspapers. And it's true, I don't read newspapers. So she tells me everything that she read in the Time magazine, in the New Yorker, in all the Israeli newspapers, and then we speak about the day, what she is doing, what I'm doing, and for example, today I told her I'm going to Jerusalem for a show. She said, Jerusalem, send my best regards to the stones of Jerusalem. She hates Jerusalem, I don't know why. And I said, no, I'm going to perform in English for the international exposure. She said, all right, this might be good for your career. So go to Jerusalem. And then I tell her, listen, you are very, very subjective. She says, yes, I take everything personally. I don't like Jerusalem, and I don't like ceremonies, because I'm from Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is the city of ceremonies. And so, and I said, but why? And she said, maybe because I was born on May 1st. And until the age of 5, I was sure that all the red flags are especially for me. So I said, listen, you are very subjective. She says, yes, I am subjective. I'm the most subjective person in the world, and I am proud of it. afraid this drawer is locked. So if you don't mind, we can play a little game. I apologize, it is not my idea, but we can play if you know I hope you know this little game. So I will sit beside you and we can turn here and you can take this. Do you know the game that I say the letters and you stop me and then you ask me something, Eretz Ir, like in...
No.
So I will tell you. I will close my eyes and I will say the English letters and you will stop me, but stop me quite soon, yes? And when you stop me, you will look here and you will see the letter and then you will choose something, a name or a word, and I will tell you a schwank. Do you know, sir, what is schwank?
No.
Okay, I will tell you, many people do not know. A schwank is actually an anecdote, but with personal commitment. I mean, it has to happen, have happened to me. You see, this is a schwank. Anecdote can happen to anyone, but schwank to me. I told you I'm subjective. So, shall we start?
We shall.
We shall. Okay, don't let me wait. Okay. A.
And stop.
Okay, that was C. Can you open at C and see what is written at C?
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes. Well, I think I have quite a nice schwank, which I am going to tell you. So it goes like this. When I immigrated to Palestine, it was on November 1947, and I was in Marseille taking a boat, but I had only fake papers. I always had fake papers, you see. And on the fake paper, there was a picture of this very big blonde girl with the name of Anna Lustigova, and I was very small and thin, and I had to have this stamp on my forged passport. And there was a man who had to come from the Jewish agency to put the stamp on my passport, and he didn't come. And I was there with my uncle. My uncle, he had good papers, but I had only fake papers. And my uncle goes and he says, Agitzi, what will happen? What will happen? So I said, Tatuka, you are really irritating me. Standing somewhere else because you are irritating me. And in front of us, there was this Catholic man, priest, standing and talking French with a woman, and suddenly he looks back at us, and in Hungarian he says, don't worry, I am praying to Jesus. And at that moment, the guy from the Jewish agency came and put the stamp, and I had a legal passport. So we were on the ship 10 days to Haifa. And these were terrible days because my uncle Moshe, he had a place in the ship, but I didn't. So I lost 5 kilograms from the kilograms that I didn't have. You see, and in the time that I was not seasick, we were standing and telling each other the fate of our life, and we smoked cigarettes. And one day I saw that my cigarettes are almost finished. So I said, his name was Per Joseph Stiashny. Per Joseph, do you have some cigarettes? He says, I have 2 more packs. And I saw that he didn't want to give them to me. And at that time, we came to Port Said, near Cairo, the big, big place, you know, the big port. And in Port Said, it was so noisy. There were all these Arabs with the big trousers and noise that I didn't hear in Europe, never, ever. So I said, Per Joseph, if I make here quiet for 1 minute in the port of Port Said, do you give me the cigarettes? He said, let's see how you do it. And now there is a smallest schwank. When I came to Marseille, a friend came to part to say goodbye, And he was a painter and was very, very poor. And he said, Agi, I don't know what to give you because I don't have money to buy you a present, so I will give you this. I say, Jerzy, what is this? He said, this is a whistle of a Czechoslovakia policeman. I said, and what do you want me to do with this? He said, you will see. So, on the ship, I climbed very high with the whistle. And I gave one big blow, and for a minute there was complete quiet in all the port of Port Said. And I told him, now, Père Joseph, you go bring the cigarettes. Is that a schwank? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, to tell a schwank, one needs a partner. One needs someone who would listen, and you are a very good listener. Please. Yes, we are good. You can take this out, and if you don't mind, I will tell you something, and you can open all this and take the things out. Yes. You know, when I was 16 or 17 in high school, we had at our school a debating society. Do you know what you know? How do you know what nobody knows in Israel. Are you an Israeli?
I'm an Israeli, and I was in a debate.
A debate in Israel, so we are not so primitive. You are Israelis. Okay. So there was a debating society, and they asked, what is the most important thing in life? And I said, love and art. So you cannot imagine what was the scandal in the class. And why? Because at that time politics was the most important thing. Why didn't I say that Marx was the most important, or at least the Communist Party? And love. So I got scared and I said, okay, art and humor. So it was even worse. They couldn't understand why I was ready to give up saving the world. And I must say that it was important for me to save the world, but to this day, the most important thing for me is love and art. You say, you go like this, that's because for you too. Yes, love and art. You know, if there is anything that I am proud in my work, it's the technical side, because the building of big things, you can look at them, that they are very big, like that, and empty. The technique is completely the opposite technique of doing sculpture in stone, for example, because I have to know in advance exactly what I'm going to do, because otherwise, you know what happens. It cracks, and that's the end of it. You know, I love being in mud. Do you too? You do. I remember when I was 5 in the vineyard, I made from clay, but it was mud, but I didn't know it was clay. I made a little something, but it was very much alive. But you know that I didn't know about sculpture anything, because in my hometown, people were reading books, there was opera, there was all the new movies, but no sculpture. And then when I was 14 maybe, I got an album of Rodin. And I was shocked that there is such a thing as great art, and I don't know anything about it, and they didn't teach me nothing. But then, when I was 16 and a half, I came to Prague. And Prague, you know, Prague is sculpture. But in Prague, I had a little incident. If you want, I will tell you. You want, because Naomi likes this. I will tell you. You know, I came to Prague, it was 1938, and I came from the Sudeten a month before Hitler came in. And then my brother, Ferry, was a surgeon in the army, and he left me a note. We will meet tomorrow at the exhibition, The Art of the Baroque of Prague, in Palais Wallenstein. This was the most significant exhibition of Baroque in Europe. And I came at 3, and it was wonderful. But after I've been waiting for my brother for 6 hours, I hated the Baroque. I really hated the Baroque, all this gold and all these angels. I hated, maybe for 30 years, but even this I passed because I lived long enough to forget about this. You know, if you ask what I am, a ceramicist or a sculptor, then I will tell you, bronzer is easy. With bronze, it's easy. Because you know what you are doing, but with ceramic sculpture, you don't know. You see, I would never make an angel if it would not pass my hatred. You know, I went to study sculpture only towards the end of the war with a sculptor that to this day is for me the greatest. His name was Gado, and he took me to sculpture, not ceramics, you see. And after the war in 1945, I went to Prague, to the Beaux-Arts, to study sculpture again, and I was the only Jew. And the way they behaved to me, the Czech boys, I could write a 20-volume book on this, but I will not write it now, because we don't have time. And one of these boys said, look, you have gone such things, you have such an experience that now you have what to do to the end of your life, you know, in a Czech sense of humor. But I really thought that I had what to do, and I even made a sculpture of a woman and a daughter and a girl. But when I finished this, I saw that this was nothing. And I came to the conclusion that I, as an artist, would never be able to do anything about this issue because it's a lie. It's nothing that art can speak about or express itself about. And if I cannot express myself about this issue, then nobody can. That's how I decided. But you know, I think that essentially everything in life, except for what has to do with death or murder, everything is essentially very funny. And if you don't lose your humor, or you do lose it but then it comes back, then it keeps you alive. I think I would never survive without this, not at all. So that's why I decided that I would make beautiful things, and I will make people laugh or smile, not cry. You know, this rose, I had many thoughts about rose because my love of my life, Rudolf Nureyev, Rudy, you know, he had a dance, Le Spectre de la Rose, the ghost of the rose. So I read a lot about the rose, and Gertrude Stein, a rose is a rose is a rose, and I thought, this is my ultimate rose. But you are an artist, right? So you know that there is nothing in art that is ultimate. Nothing like that. But I said, for me, this is my ultimate rose. And I'm trying to make an ultimate, or at least a definitive rose, and a definitive horse, or a definitive pea, or a definitive pear, or even a definitive banana, but not a definitive death camp, because death camp has nothing to do with art. see, he hopped out of my window like the grasshopper. Thank you. And you also made me an exhibition. Now I have an exhibition, so it's very nice. Thank you so much. It was pleasure. Telling you, he popped out of my window, my Rudy. Love of my life. You know, my ex-stepmother-in-law and myself, we meet every Saturday in a cafe in Tel Aviv. It's called Streets Cafe. And she's the diva of the cafe. Everybody loves her. I swear to you that I saw one Saturday a man coming into the cafe like this and telling her, it is our honor to meet you. And then she sits down and she starts telling me her stories, and I try to remember them and then maybe record them on my phone or write down some information. And sometimes I say, just a minute, wait, because I want it to be exact. And she said, exact. I thought that I would never have to listen and hear this word. I said, what word? She said, genau. I thought I don't have to be genau. So I said, no. You don't understand. I only say that if you let me tell half of what you told me, a quarter of what you told me, 10% of what you've told me to the people of the cafe of Tel Aviv, of the international exposure, then once and for all, the world, the universe will understand what has happened, why it has happened, how. And then she stops me very dryly and she said, but I didn't tell you anything yet. I announce you didn't hear from me anything yet. Nothing at all. You know that our last guest will not have to move the roulette because there is only one drawer left. Is that a temptation? You are so beautiful, I couldn't resist. So, do you know which? You know which is the drawer that was not open. I think it's here, so you can see it here. Yes. And open. No. So it's here, closer to me, even better. You will have to wait because no, take it out, but I will have to go later and bring you something. Yes, please. Can I tell you in the meantime the story? Yes. So I want to tell you, we went out, 300 girls went out, as if we went out. They took us to a walkabout. You know, we walked a few days, those who could walk, and it was at that time that I said, if I survive, it's impossible, but let's assume that I will survive, then from now on, only by taxi, no more walking. We were finally released on May 3rd, 1945, and this was, at that time, we stayed together, the girls from my hometown, 10 girls or 12 girls, and the girls said, now we are going to do what you say. And I said, now we stay here. It was Ludwigslust, which was under American occupation, and it's impossible to describe to you the thousands and thousands of people who were released. It is so funny because it is such a small percentage of It is not funny. It is terrible because it is such a small percentage of the people that they murdered. But because we were all packed in one place, it was as if masses of people were released and no one, but not even one, spoke one word of English. So it came out that I was the only one who spoke English because of the 4 lessons that I had. I had 4 English lessons with my brother Gabi at home. So among the tens of thousands, I was the translator, and the Americans, they put us in a villa where there were before Nazi Germans who ran away. And the Americans said, they said, what do you need in English? And I said that in the train, when we traveled, I saw between 2 boards, I saw normal German girls riding bicycles, and that in our situation, this was something surreal. So half an hour after I told this in my English of 4 lessons, they brought me 6 bicycles. 6 Americans, they just stopped the German girls and they took 6 bicycles and they brought them to me. 2 officers brought me also, I don't know if you know, big suitcase, like you have in a ship, you know, coffers, big suit. They brought me a big suitcase, and one of them said, I brought you something else, and he gave me lipstick. Just for you to know that from the age of 16, my dream was to be at the age of lipstick. And I cannot tell you how the Americans, how they were, how the Americans I will adore until my dying day, how they were, because the Englishmen, they did not get it. And the Russian soldiers, it's better not to tell. But then the Americans said, now girls, you must take the train to the Soviet Russian zone, otherwise you will never get home. So we took the train from the American zone of Germany to the Russian zone. On the way to Berlin, when maybe 1 stop or 2 stops after Ludwigslust, the Russian soldiers came on the train, Davai Suda, and first thing they took their 6 bicycles. It was maybe 1 stop or 2 stops after Ludwigslust. It was in the middle of nowhere. I have to ask my friend Lili. She is my friend from the drawer. Drawer in Hungary is piuk, piuk ball. Piuk is a drawer. So we came to a train station that we knew that there will be a train going to Berlin, but we had to stay because we didn't know if the train would come by day or by night and what direction it will take. And we were exhausted and we had to sleep, but we were afraid of the Russian soldiers. And in that station, there were French ex-prisoners of war that were many years in concentration camps, but they were soldiers. So they said, girls, climb on the table and sleep on the table, and we will guard you. And we, all the 10 or 12 girls, I will ask my friend Lily, we went on the table and we slept on the table, and the French soldiers, like that, almost 1 week they did not sleep. And if one girl, had to go to pee, then 4 ex-prisoners of war, French, took her to the latrine and back. They didn't sleep at all. And in the daytime, we were singing with them and dancing with them. When we were waiting for the trains which didn't come, they called me, do you know French?
No.
Not at all. They used to call me, I will tell you anyhow, danseuse étoile, which means the star dancer, because I loved dancing and we were singing. I remember that we were singing, il était un petit navire, il était Aviv, qui n'avait jamais navigué, qui n'avait jamais... An idiotic song. You know, I have prejudice, and I really have a difference between different people, and for the French people, I have good prejudice, maybe because of the French esprit, maybe because I did my matriculation in French, but the Americans are immediately with, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, I wanted to give you something to eat, to try, but don't go away, I'm going to bring
No,
you.
I'll be here.
You will be here. Also, just wait. Thank you, Daniel. This is, everything is for you because for me it is forbidden because of the sugar. So it is all for you. I will give you something.
That's good.
It's nice, yes, it's very nice. I don't make it. Naomi, she's the crazy one who makes it. But the recipe is mine. You can try. It's called dereye, and it's made of, you can, I don't know, where do you come from?
From Turkey.
I don't know, in Turkey you take with this or with this, so it's different manners everywhere. So take what, you can even, in Israel, sometimes they take with their hands. It's a very primitive country. But you can,
I'll try your way.
our way, I will not tell anyone. You like it? It's potato dough and marmalade, but it has to be the best marmalade, only Hero, apricot marmalade. Do you like it? So it's all for you, fantastic. You know,
Delicious.
Thank you. I knew why I chose you. This drawer.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
For choosing me.
Yes, yes. And thank you for chewing this. I must tell you that it was great fun to be alive at the time after the war, the 6 weeks or the 2 months after the war. The thing that we saw, it was fantastic, really. It was really worth seeing them if there was no price like there was, you see. But I want to tell you that at last the train came and we came to Berlin, centrum of Berlin, the middle of Berlin. And Berlin, it was sensational. Berlin was sensational. But I'm not going to tell you now about Berlin because there's not enough dereye here for this story. Anyhow, we came to a train station in Břeclav, Morava, and there were women there who were there to give food to refugees and also to give them papers from the time of First World War, not that they waited from First World War. And one woman took us, all the girls, and she said, you come to my house. She had a wonderful villa. Maybe she was the wife of the Burgermeister, I don't know. And she took us to her home, and there, outside, it was the month of May, it was beautiful, and they put tables, and they served us dereye. And I told her that this is the most beloved food of my life, and that at the time when I was hungry, I asked myself if I would ever eat dereye again. So we also signed papers, and we got very important papers. It's called repatriarchi prukas, that they would give us passport. And then we came to the second station in the south of Czechoslovakia, in Bratislava. Have you been to Bratislava? No. Okay, so we stood on the train in the window, and a man came, and it was not unusual because all the people came and said, do you know this? Do you know that? Because we didn't know who was left. And he came, and we said our name, and he said, are you the daughters of Isaac? Do you see my hand? Do you see my finger? This is your brother, Ferry, operated on this finger. And the bandage he put on me the day before, yesterday in Slatina. I said, where? He said, look, it is still white. I said, where? He said, Slatina, that is in Karpato, Ukraine. And there is a big hospital there, and your brother, Ferry, there is a chief surgeon. So that's how we knew that Ferry, my brother, was alive. But we couldn't go to him because there were no train tracks in the Balkan countries. We couldn't go, so we had to go through Hungary. And in Hungary, we went to Budapest, and in Budapest, we went to the Jewish agency. Thousands and thousands of people, and there were two girls, and we said our name. Are you the Izsak daughters? So maybe you know Izsak Gabi? Because he saved many children from the ghetto. At night, he would go through the wall, and he saved children, and we know him from the youth movement. So that's how we knew that Gabi too was alive. And there in Budapest, I also went to see my Meister Gador. And my Meister Gador, he remembered me, and I knocked on the door, and he came out, and we cried. And then he said, what do you have in your hand? So I said, I had a newspaper with something in it. And he said, what is it? So I said, it's an evening dress. And he said, my God, she hasn't changed. She went crazy to the lagers, and back she came crazy. He understood that all this way I took this evening dress so that I will have something to prove that I will be a woman again. And then I don't want to tell you, but I went back to Brzeclaw because I had to have these papers, but I don't want to tell you what happened with the papers, but I will tell you someone stole all the papers from me, and I don't want to tell you what I found when at last I came home, but I want to tell you that I came to Prague with this thing that I had no papers. And I went to a police station, and I sat and cried very quietly. And there were policemen to guard the place. But have you been to Prague? You know in Prague you don't need to policemen because everybody is quiet and behaves nicely. So one of the policemen came to me and said, Mademoiselle, why are you crying? And I said, I'm crying because I have no papers. And I have no witness to say who I am. I'm nobody in the world. And he said, where do you live? Where are you from? And I said, Bereksas, which is 20 hours by train from Prague. And what is your name? I said, Izsak. So I am your witness, because I was a policeman 2 years in your town, and every morning I was guarding near the corner of your house, and every morning at 5 o'clock your father came out and invited me for schnapps. And I am your witness. It will take 2 minutes. This is Anushka Izhakova. I knew her father. He had Czech citizenship. She has Czech citizenship. I can tell you that I can write a 20-volume book on Czech policemen. But we will not do it now. I just want to tell you that then I had to go again to Brzeclaw. And I remember this nice lady with the dereye, and I came, and she came out of her villa, and she saw me, and she said, well, I don't know why you came, but today I made dereye. She didn't say dereye, she said like the Czechs say, tashki, tashchichki, which is like a small bag, school bag of children. So, I must say you ate nicely. And this is I'm very happy about it. But we all get tired from such stories. Thank you so much. And thank you. You're a great eater and listener. Thank you. I think that one of the things is that it's impossible to describe. There are too many things to describe at the same time. Impossible. It simply is impossible to tell. Impossible to tell what they did. It's impossible. Impossible to tell. I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't want to talk. No, it's impossible to talk. I will never be able to talk about it ever. You can say that anyhow, it's impossible to talk about what it did to me or to the other. It simply is impossible to tell. Because it isn't easy. It isn't easy. There were only two ways, either to talk or not to talk. The bad things I will never tell. The bad things I can never tell. Once, a couple from Switzerland came to visit my ex-stepmother-in-law and her husband. It was in Haifa, and the two professors went ahead and talked about scientific matters, and the two women, they leaned over the rail and they looked at the Haifa beautiful bay, and the Swiss woman said, "Mrs. Yoeli, I heard that you were in Auschwitz." "Yes, that's right. So please tell me, how was it?" And my ex-stepmother-in-law said, "Not very nice."